one show at a time. Now, welcome to the Green Room.
Welcome to In the Green Room. I'm Kinga.
And I'm Chet. I hope everybody's having a great day so far.
And we have Sheryl Cooper in studio here.
Good evening.
Welcome in the Green Room.
Doc.
Awesome.
Welcome back again.
Thank you.
All right. So we are super excited to have you. Are just such a legend for choreography and dance and being a rock star wife and a rock star life. Can you tell us how you started your ballet career?
It's really interesting. I never, ever thought in my years of dance training I would ever grow up to marry Alice Cooper. But we have been married almost 45 years, and our backgrounds could not be more different and yet the same at the same time. I came from being born in Denver, Colorado, to moving with my parents to New Haven, Connecticut, where I was put into a YWCA dance class. Didn't like it, but my mother really was a great encourager. And pretty soon, I wasn't walking anywhere. I flitted from room to room pretty much, and just climbing walls and tumbling. And when my father graduated Yale Divinity School, I saw JFK speak at his graduation when I was 6. So Please do not do that math. We moved to Southern California, to the Pasadena area, and I joined the Pasadena Dance Theater, which turned out some great ballet dancers. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Somebody once said, dance begins where music leaves off. It's the highest form of artistic expression. And I ascribe to that. It really does. It's transcendent and cathartic. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
Dance is one of my favorite forms of art. Chet, you're a good dancer.
Yeah, but not with any formal teaching. I just hear a song come on and I, just have a little bit of groove and rhythm to me, but I'm not
freestyle.
Exactly, yeah. So, do you still dance? Do you still stay in touch with that passion, or?
I do all the time. I just never stopped. It just looked seasonally different as you transition. After I became professional at age 14, I worked for Walt Disney at Disneyland. So at
for $1.65?
That was minimum wage. It was $1.65 an hour. I had to save my babysitting money so I could carpool to Anaheim from Pasadena to work. So that was pretty fun, being 14 and having a Disney employee card and dancing as a butterfly and an ostrich and just all these great, great roles.
So were you performing in the live shows at the park then?
I was.
That's so fun.
Was. And
That's
in
awesome.
The parades.
You know those floats in the parade?
Of course, yeah. I remember being a little kid and always, being obsessed with that. That was
Chet
really
was pretty
cool.
lucky. We went to Disneyland a couple times a year. So.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
Very
yes.
nice. I just loved it. And finally, I had to make a decision. Which way did I want to go? Did I want to sing? Did I want to dance? Did I want to go the academia route? I think, Kinga, I told you before, I was salutatorian of my high school class, and I won the governor's scholarship that year for academics from then California Governor Ronald Reagan.
That's incredible.
Wow.
I won the Bank of America Music Scholarship for vocals because I was a trained soprano. And yet I really wanted to dance. I also had a scholarship at a prestigious dance academy in Hollywood. And that required that I dance sometimes 7 hours a day.
7 hours a day?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
It's wild. I'm 18 years old, and I came out on my third class of the day one day, and I see all these girls getting ready for something. It was obviously an audition. Remember when the headbands matched the leg warmers? That. False eyelashes were going on, and I said, what's happening? They looked at me, rolled their eyes, and said, are you the only dancer in L.A. that does not know that Alice Cooper is having an audition? I said, wow, really? They said, yes, it is a really sought-after role because it entails a 1.5-year contract, a world tour, a television special, and a full-length feature film. To which I answered, Alice Cooper. Who's she? And
it's a girl's name.
Well, that's not my world. That's not my jam. I knew the Beatles, but talk to me about Bach, Rachmaninoff, Schumann. I'll tell you what opus, what cantata, and what movement. That just wasn't my world. And I wasn't going to go. I thought I wouldn't fit in here. And one of my friends said the magic word. She said, Sheryl, just go to the audition. Just try it. She said, besides, really, who says you're going to get it? Oh,
Challenge.
Oh,
brought
I
out the
said, you
competitive
did not
side.
just say that to me. And I thought, I will go for the experience, but I'm gonna get it.
And a major theme to your life is that you are not from privilege, if I can use those words. I was impressed that, you went to Yale, your dad was a seminarian, he was a student, working as a janitor to support the family during his studies. You were enrolled at the YMCA partly because that was affordable, and took it from there, and you were working to maintain your dance, during your teen years and your training, and if you weren't getting scholarships and awards, you weren't going to be able to continue. Exactly,
yeah.
So coming into that experience, that audition, I mean, you're somebody with grit.
I think that what that did for me was teach me to roll up my sleeves and go get it. Because that's sort of my
Absolutely.
nature anyway. If I'm going to go the academic route, I'm going to go for it.
Right.
So that just sort of translated into my dance, and I was so passionate about it. And I love it when people say, "Oh my, you're just talented. I wish I had that talent." I went, "No." I say no because I worked for that. I developed that. It's an art.
Yes. That's an important backdrop to your
So I
story,
want to hear
think,
about
which I
how
really
this
appreciate.
audition went.
I know. I want to hear about the audition. We want to hear
You
about.
came in to hearing this hard rock music, I'm sure, and how did you react to that? How did you
Well,
move
here's
to
the
it?
deal. They gave a ballet combination first because you can weed out the wannabes immediately with classical training. So unless you had that classical foundation, those building blocks, you couldn't do all the choreography they wanted you to do. And there were 2,000 girls there, 2,000. And out of 2,000, they picked me
2,000. That's
and
incredible.
one other girl.
Wow.
That is amazing.
And I didn't want to take it. I'm living with my parents. I'm not ready to up my life and drop out of college and go around the world for a year and a half.
Even though you were an adult at 18, you were kind of a kid. I mean, kind of.
Well-
To leave by yourself.
Pretty much, I put my retainer in my mouth, grabbed my Bible, and off I went on the road.
So how did you actually meet Alice? And was that first time exciting for you? Did you fall in love at first sight?
No, I thought he was a very handsome man, but I wasn't looking for a relationship because I'm a professional. Basically, which means you do what you're supposed to be doing, exactly when you're supposed to be doing it. And it was heavy choreography. In fact, the choreographer was David Winters, who was in the movie West Side Story and the original Broadway play.
Wow.
He played the character Action. Remember, Easy Action? But he made women dance like men, which I loved. That's the way I move. I mean, it's very athletic, split leaps, hit the floor, barrel turns, rolling over. And all of a sudden, I'm thrust into this show called Welcome to My Nightmare in 1975. Nobody had ever seen the marriage of Broadway and rock and roll. This really was the first. And it was a big gamble on Alice's part because this was when he had separated from his original band, had a new lineup, and it was a gamble. And we brought in the costumer from Disney. So you had giant Black Widow spiders, dancers inside these amazing costumes, climbing 20, 30-foot hydraulic nets that would come out of the ground. We were fluorescent dancing skeletons in black light that could turn around and disappear. Giant tap dancing teeth who would get brushed to death with a toothbrush.
So all these stage productions, were they mostly driven from Alice himself then, or from the choreographer? Who was really the one pushing these limits and making the set so cool like that?
Do you know, I'm going to say it was a combination of Alice's manager, Shep Gordon, Alice, and David Winters. They really were the geniuses behind the marriage of these two art forms. And it was a smashing success. And in the middle of this show was a ballet to one of Alice's hit singles, Only Women Bleed, in 1975. And it was about domestic abuse. But all of a sudden, I'm playing this kind of battered, pathetic, tortured ballet dancer in tattered pink chiffon, and it was really a poignant moment in the show. And I mean, you could have heard a pin drop with 40,000 people. Everybody was rapt, just attentive, and it was a pretty profound moment. Great lyrics.
And that was before any romance, is that right?
That was before any romance.
So you were working very closely with the lead singer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us about that first kiss.
I think we were talking the other day, and tell me if you agree with this. Don't you think that a real friendship begins when you look at another person and you can say, oh, you too? And there's that connection made. And there were several you too moments. And in the 70s, remember, there were no big hotels. We would stay in Holiday Inns. Luggage had no wheels. We would drag them up 2 flights with our key, and that's just how you traveled.
And you both had fathers that were pastors.
We did, yeah.
Which was a big me too.
Absolutely. And so just childhood, similarities, upbringing, happenstance. It was really, I found myself being attracted to him because of a friendship. I said, here was a solid guy from Detroit, from the Midwest, raised in Arizona, went to Cortez High School, formed the band there, went to LA, and made it. And didn't stop. And I thought, here's a man of character, talent, very easy on the eyes. I mean, to look at those icy blue husky eyes and that dark hair and that runner's physique, and, you know. But we found ourselves talking, trying to sit next to each other more. And there was one night where we were deep in conversation and really lost in it. And one by one, people started to leave the room to go back to their own hotel rooms. And I realized I'm in the room alone. And I look at my watch. Yeah, no cell phones. I had a watch.
And you thought he was really cute.
Well, I did, but it was just, I was so enamored with his personality, with his talent, and just he was so engaging. And I said, oh, it's almost 2 a.m. I said, I am so sorry. I've just talked your ear off. I said, I've got to be getting back to my room. And he paused and he said, well, aren't you going to kiss me goodnight?
Oh,
I thought,
so cute.
well, you know, I thought maybe I'd lean in for a little peck. And so I did. And the next thing I knew, he had grabbed the back of my head and held me there for about 50 seconds with the most luscious kiss you can imagine. And I don't even know how I found my way back to my room. Somehow I did. And it, you know, my inner dialogue is saying, no, not with your boss. This is just unacceptable. Do not go there. And I knew I was in trouble. And he knew he was in trouble. But it didn't take long to realize that you know when you know when you know that
You
someone
know
is
when
right.
you know when you know. She says that a lot, and so I love it. That's when you read a book, you have to put that in there over and over again.
I don't know how else to explain it, because people say, you were so young. How young were you when you got married? I was 19.
Wow.
And yet,
Wow. 19.
He was 26, 27, and there was not a hesitancy. Not one hesitancy, because we both knew that we knew that we knew that we were going to be together forever. And that just hasn't changed.
Well, I want to hear about this exciting proposal, how he came and found you in New York.
This was a MacGyver move for sure. I was staying in my friend's apartment, and I was doing one of those television specials in New York. Remember in the 1970s, they had all these big productions, these variety shows. Well, I was actually Goldie Hawn's stand-in for, you know, some of these dance numbers. And
Really? Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. You never mentioned that. For
Secrets for the air. Tidbits.
There you go. So what was it for?
that was for her special, Goldie Hawn's special.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they would set the choreography with me. I'd show her, teach it to her, and then I would join the dancers behind her. You know, teach her all the lifts and the positions, and very good, talented lady. But anyway, we're rehearsing. I'm staying in the apartment, and he flies to New York, gets the key from my friend, and lets himself into the apartment, and I'm in the shower.
So he totally surprises you.
Oh, Listen,
You have no idea.
That would scare you,
It could have
probably.
been a scene out of Psycho. It was almost an Alfred Hitchcock moment because I rinse off, just wash my hair. I wrapped the towel around me. I wrapped my hair up in a turban, threw back the curtain, getting ready to step out of the tub, and there he is. I mean, I was so shocked I couldn't even scream. And he looked depressed. I thought, oh my gosh, somebody died. He flew here. My parents. It must be it. Something happened to my parents. I was panicked.
So he was just like,
he was just
stone-faced.
standing there. And so he put the lid down on the toilet and sat down and looked really dejected. And I thought, oh, please, Lord, please let it. Just tell me, what is it? And I said, is everything okay? He said, I think you better sit down. I'm ready to cry. And sat down in his lap. So now,
unbelievable.
picture me, towel on my head, towel around me, sitting on his lap on the toilet. And he looked down. He said, I found something today. And he said, after much consideration and a lot of deliberation and soul searching, I know this belongs to you. And he holds up the ring. He holds up the ring. And I'm shocked
amazing.
because
Beautiful.
it's so close to Valentine's Day. I thought, what does this mean? And, I didn't say anything. And he said, well, it looks to me like somebody's engaged. And, 45 years later, I told him, you never asked me to marry you.
Implication.
You never asked me to marry you. And his answer was, do you think I was going to give you an opportunity to say no? He said,
It looks like someone's engaged.
looks like somebody's engaged.
Meaning you're not going to say no.
It's a Jedi mind trick.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's amazing
love
you
it.
did all that towel work when you thought you were by yourself. I thought that was impressive. The whole turban and everything.
Yeah, I
when
mean,
you're
that's
alone
just
in hotels.
kind of what I do.
That's awesome.
It's me. It's a thing. But 45 years later, I can honestly tell you that he still pursues me like I am not already his. And so that's pretty magical. People say relationships, they're hard. They're work. And I say, yeah, but work can be fun. And it really is worth it when you're committed and you just grow deeper. And I can't wait for the next 45 years. Bring it on.
On Sunday, you said you went out for a date the night before. And I thought that was really sweet that he started dancing with you outside of the restaurant.
In the middle of the street, he just grabbed me and started dancing with me.
It's so cute.
He's a romantic at heart. He's an artist. He's an athlete. I think I live with romance, poetry, genius, humor, and a man after God's own heart. I really do.
So I know you had this beautiful courting, and you were this romance until you got married, and then you got married in, was it Acapulco?
Acapulco, both our fathers officiated, giving us the vows to say to each other. Beat that. That's amazing. So we were married at sunset on March 20th, 1976, on a cliff overlooking Acapulco Bay. It
Wow.
was
That's
perfect.
just amazing.
And it was just our family. So basically, we eloped with our family.
And the agents wanted to keep this quiet because all these women have a crush on your husband.
I think that their thinking probably was, this won't last. Maybe I'll give it 6 months, or let's not, let's kind of keep this under wraps and just sort of see. Because who is this little 18-year-old girl from Pasadena, California? That's just me.
How did the two pastor fathers feel about how the show was, a little bit dark and kind of romanced death and had all the creatures and all that? Did they approve?
Yeah, because I think when you delve into the world of darkness, sometimes it makes light more illuminating. I often say, any good news can only be fully appreciated and understood against the backdrop of the bad news. And it was kind of like a morality play, if you would. Welcome to My Nightmare was very much like that. And the character had to make some decisions. How do I wake up? And if you track my husband's career, there was never any bad language in the show. There was never any nudity. There was never anything satanic, but it was dark. But a lot of people don't understand it's a character, much like Captain Hook will don the hat and the coat and the sword and become Captain Hook. My husband always says, there were all these Peter Pans out there and no Captain Hook. During the age of the peace and love generation, there were all these Peter Pans. He said, I'll happily play that character.
I love it.
And he did.
Do you ever talk about shadow integration? And you're helping people integrate their shadow or their dark side of their nature into their...
I'm not really familiar with that. Explain a little more. Shadow integration?
It's a term from psychology where we have a dark side, and if we can recognize that and come to terms with that and integrate the strengths of that darker side of our natures into our active nature, that we are live more fully as human beings.
I'd have to explore that a little more. Personally, I come from a faith-based perspective, so I think that we're all a little dark by nature, no matter if we admit it or not.
Right.
And I am always attempting and desiring to let God transform my nature and my mind.
Well, you have such a great relationship with God. Isn't God number one in your life? You tell me all the time.
I would like to think so. That's my aspiration. That's my husband's aspiration. In fact, he'll tell you that his career probably ranks maybe 5th or 6th down the rung of that ladder. He'll say, God is first. He said, my wife is second. My kids come right after that.
Oh, he says my wife is second to God?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That God relationship is so important.
But see, what it does is translate into our relationship, our romance, our work ethic. It sort of colors everything we do.
Well, something that I found interesting, I was listening to an interview today with the two of you that you and Alice were saying that the show is basically an escape for people. And just like you would watch a horror movie, this is like, the show is like an art form of an escape for people to, all your fans come and they dress up and for that 2 hours, they're just having, they're not thinking about anything stressful. They're just enjoying the show.
But they should be.
Exactly.
Should be. I look at it. I look at the show like an exciting roller coaster ride.
Yes.
There's some thrills and sometimes upside down and sometimes you don't expect a certain move and there's humor and there's darkness and somehow at the end there's redemption. And it's like the roller coaster ride. Eventually you come back safely. But what a ride. So that's what the show is.
So did you have any favorite characters that you dressed up as or that you still do? Because I know you're going on tour again this summer. Do you have any favorite characters? And didn't your daughter also?
Our elder daughter, Calico, did the show for about 10 years. And boy, did she bring it. She brought a new dimension to that. And we're similar and yet very different in our approach. She's a phenomenal mover, actress, singer, just incredibly talented. She sings now with a band called Bisto Blanco.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Very successful. Our son has his own band called Co-op.
I've heard of that one.
Mm-hmm. And they rock. And we have our younger daughter, Sonora Rose, who is a new mom. And
I met the baby.
Yes, married to an amazing man, and they are new parents. And
Diego, he's so sweet.
Recording engineer, and Sonora's a professional makeup artist.
So she did the makeup as well.
She could do makeup as well. I mean, she's done everybody's makeup. Her dad's, Johnny Depp's. She can make you look like you are a survivor of a zombie apocalypse and a car accident, or the most beautiful model on the runway. Take your pick.
So for those of us who have never lived a rock star lifestyle and would like to, can you share major highlights, tour points, cities, experiences?
Wow. There are so many stories, and I may have to wait for a few more people to die before I divulge some of those stories.
Didn't you guys hang out with like Jimi Hendrix and Morrison?
That was Alice before. They all died at 27. My husband talks about the 27 Club.
Yes.
He said, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, they all died at 27 years old. He said, what is that?
Really?
He said it's like the
Wow.
rock star has an expiration date of age 27, and
That's incredible.
it is incredible. So
That's kind of
God,
weird.
God allowed him to live despite some of his addictions and
So
choices.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
So, how did you kind of reach your breaking point of, you did split up with him to try to get him to quit drinking?
Yeah, it was difficult. And the reason it was difficult is because he was never a mean alcoholic. He was never abusive. He was never physically, verbally, he was never inattentive. He was loving. He was kind. He was professional. He never missed a show. He never flubbed a lyric. He knew his lines. And so it made it very difficult to see that he was slowly dying from alcohol.
And so you saw this, and were you kind of nagging him, or how did you handle it?
It becomes, he would keep a garbage can next to the bed filled with ice so he could have a Budweiser in it. And before he even opened his eyes in the morning, he'd reach down, grab that Budweiser. I'd hear the pop of the can, and he'd take a sip and then open his eyes. And that's how the day started. And that's when I knew,
Wow.
this is a problem. This
Right.
is a problem.
That was like the red flag that you were like,
Well, I think the red flag, it would have been so much easier if there were abuse, if all of a sudden his career tanked, that he couldn't function, but he was a functional alcoholic.
So he didn't act drunk?
No, he was never drunk. He was never drunk. He was what I call sanguine. He had that golden buzz that just kind of, he would sip, but he would sip all day, but it was slowly killing him. And so the first day when he threw up blood was the day I took him by the ear, and I said, "Party's over."
Good job. Good job.
And
You saved his life.
he went into rehab, and I didn't have a lot of faith that it would take. And we'd been through so much.
Where did he go to rehab?
And Cornell in New York, upstate New York.
Oh, wow.
Cornell, it was called in White Plains.
Because I heard an interview where he was talking about how he was in the psych ward.
Yeah,
He
he's
said
a lot of
he was in
people.
with, he said he was in with killers that have chopped up people.
He said that nobody really was there for alcohol and drugs. Some people were there to hide out from the mob, who were very wealthy people, or deals gone bad. But there were some very psychotic people. So from that commitment time came the album From the Inside. And it really was about the insane asylum in 1979.
wow.
Give that a listen.
I want to go listen to
Whoa.
that, actually. Maybe when we're walking, we can listen
There
to
you
it.
go.
I would love to.
So did he choose to go to such an extreme rehab facility then? Was that a choice then? or-
It was pretty much both our fathers and his manager and I.
Did you have to handcuff him to get him there?
Nope.
Okay.
He submitted. He knew he had a problem. And it was a really, really tough time. But the interesting thing is, when he was released, he said he went straight to a bar, sat down, and ordered a Diet Coke. He said, because the craving's going to come. It's bound to come. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And it didn't come. He went back the next day, sat down, waited. Didn't come. Well, see, in the meantime, I had separated from
So
him.
you were in Chicago.
I moved back to Chicago with our 3-year-old daughter at the
Calico.
time, Calico. And I was living with my parents again. I was dancing with a dance company. I re-enrolled in college. And I just didn't have a lot of faith, and there were some trust issues. And boy, did he scramble to make restitution and to make that relationship right. And he bookended me. We were headed for divorce court, where he practically pulls me into a broom closet. And
Give all these details because I love this part. Okay.
And he said, "You love me, and I love you. And what is it going to take to show you, to prove to you that not only will I never touch another drink or another drug again, but I will make restitution to you for the rest of my life?"
Wow. Wow.
What do you say to something like that when you have trust issues and you've been disappointed? And
Because it had been a few times
yes, this was not the first time.
where he promised he wasn't going to drink and then he started again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this was the third time. And so I had rehearsed what I was going to say. And in my mind, I had the speech prepared. I love you, yes, but it's too late. Too much damage has been done. Instead, what came out of my mouth was this. Okay, well, I will agree to counseling. It's got to be Christian. You'd set it up and I might show up. I thought, what did I just say?
It's because you have love.
And he did it. He scrambled. And we pieced our relationship back together through a man by the name of Kevin Lehman. He's a doctor out of Tucson, but he's very noted for writing the birth order book, Why We Are the Way We Are, according to what order we're born in the family. He's got a book, Sex Begins in the Kitchen.
Sex Begins in the Kitchen. I want to read that one.
It's excellent. Making Children Mind Without Losing Yours. He's got Parenthood Without Hassles, ... Well, almost. And Have a New Kid by Friday. So he really has, he's very insightful. And we were really able to take the shredded, tattered parts of our marriage and piece it back together. And he said,
Can you tell us how he set it up? Didn't you go out of town?
Well, we
For
did.
the
We
therapy?
locked ourselves in a room in Jamestown, New York, in a Holiday Inn for 3 days with him because he was on a book speaking tour. And so we had session after session, and he said, I want you to carefully write down every grievance that you have with each other. And he said, and don't spare anything.
This part's funny, Chet.
He said, Sheryl, if he squeezes the toothpaste tube from the middle or leaves the cap off and that bothers you, I want you to write it down. I thought, well, now we're getting ridiculous.
That's a little petty. That's so specific.
Yeah, but I mean, he was going deep, and he wanted full transparency. So I thought, okay, and so I start writing furiously. I'm on my third page, and this is a timed exercise. Clock is ticking.
How much time do you have?
3 minutes.
And you've got 3 pages?
And I've got 3 pages. I mean, I really had some concerns and trust issues, and I was going to write them down. And I looked up every once in a while to see what he was writing, and he hadn't written anything yet. And he's just tapping the pen against his teeth, kind of click, 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 click. I promise you, at about the 15-second mark to time out, he wrote down a sentence. And so we got to read our manifestos. So I read my 3 pages of disappointments and grievances and concerns and hopes, and then it was his turn. And his one sentence was, your holier than thou attitude. And I went, what? In the meantime, I'd been going to church. I'd been taking our 3-year-old, and I would tell him, hey, you're always welcome. You're not obligated. But I think he was falling under some kind of conviction. There was a dimension in his life that he knew spiritually that he was missing. And there was that component that he was raised with that wasn't really fulfilled. Now, I take hesitancy, when I say, be careful in saying, well, my parents were Christian. Of course I'm Christian. To which I answer, well, being born in a Christian household doesn't make you a Christian any more than being born in the trunk of your car makes you a spare tire. I mean, it's got to be a personal conviction. And so it was on that basis, the counselor said, I want you to do one thing for me, to both of us. I'm thinking, one thing? After I just read 3 pages, which one thing do you want me to do? He said, I'm going to see if you both can commit to one thing. Do you think you can do that? Right now, I'm dying to know what this is. He said, do you think you could attend church together? I went, is that all? Are you serious? After almost 7 years of marriage, a near divorce, and just go to church on Sunday? But we thought, okay, we can do that. We can commit to that. And something happened. And it was kind of a shedding. I think our hearts were softened. I think
by going to church or agreeing to go to church?
It was the whole process, because first it was the commitment, and then it was hearing the words, and then it was a changing of the heart, because the heart cannot accept what the mind rejects. Cannot. So I think that we were in the process of being transformed by the renewing of our minds. And so what was once probably a very cold heart and flinty heart and calcified veins all of a sudden became open, pliable, and receptive. And that's when our faith journey began. And it's still continuing. And it's a great adventure.
Well, something I heard in one of the interviews today is that Alice kept saying he has an addictive personality.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So he has to have something that he is addicted to, like the golf, church.
Me.
You. So would you find that to be, for somebody that is an alcoholic, is that they just channel it for something positive, like love, the church?
You know, I don't think that he replaced his addiction with the church necessarily. I think, we were talking about this the other day, that there are many world religions, and I don't like the word religion. I just don't.
Right. Relationship with God.
It's a relationship. Religion is human-made. The religions of the world are humans' attempt to get to God. Do this, say this, live this way, and you reach God. Christianity is opposite. It's God has come to you. And that's the difference. And so we're growing in that knowledge.
Yeah, your faith is so important to you, and I was so impressed with your fund of knowledge of Scripture, how the Bible verses come out of your mouth so quickly and so appropriately.
That was the love one.
That was the Corinthians 13
That's most
chapter.
of the Bible.
Could you say that one? She has it memorized.
No, I don't really. But, a lot of people will use this at their wedding. It basically tells you what love is and what it ain't. It talks about love being patient and kind, gentle. It's never rude or boastful or proud. It doesn't rejoice when something bad happens. It rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things. It believes all things. It endures all things. They talk about gifts, prophecy and this and that may pass away, but talks about faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these three is love.
And you had your profession of faith at age 10, and you've never regretted that, baptized at age 10 in church.
Absolutely.
And you've always felt that was a completely mature decision at that age. And even though your spiritual sophistication grows throughout life, you've never thought you needed to repeat that profession of faith.
No. I think one Lord, one faith, one baptism. And, baptism doesn't save you. Baptism does not save you. Baptism is simply an outward expression of an inward transformation.
So when you say that your veins were cold when you and Alice went to church together, would you say that you had your faith experience lapsed a little bit? Were you in a little bit of a hole or a rut at that time?
I think so. You can call it different things, but I wasn't growing.
Okay.
In other words, basically I wasn't assembling with believing friends. I wasn't studying. I wasn't having that one-on-one relationship. And that was my fault, because guess who moved? It wasn't God, me. And so I was wooed back.
Right.
Well, I think it's so amazing how you are with your family. You're all teaching them all about God and Jesus and Christ. And you have this teen center where you're spreading that message too, helping the children. I mean, that's really making a difference here in Arizona. Can you tell me a little bit about the Solid Rock?
Yeah, how did it get started?
Oh, yeah. Solid Rock, I think, is the best kept secret in Arizona. It's a teen center located on the corner of 32nd Street and Thunderbird. And it was for me like being pregnant 20 years to get this thing to happen. It started in 1997, pretty much in our kitchen, and grew, blossomed. We would have golf tournaments and auctions and getting ready to build that building, and we would have the town council meeting, and the consensus was, oh, yes, this sounds like such an awesome concept. Just don't do it in our backyard.
What?
Time after time.
Why?
It wasn't meant to be at that time. For whatever reason, we were voted down with zoning, and those ordinances were restricted.
Oh, that's the worst.
No joke. No joke. But I think God knew where we needed to be, when we needed to be there. So we opened 8 years ago. We get 100 teens a day, and we take all teens, 12 to 20, and we offer free lessons in bass, guitar, drums, recording arts and sciences, art, dance, voice, film and video. I mean, it goes on. It's like a mini Juilliard. Every time I take my friends for a tour, they say the same thing. Whoa, I thought this was just a room.
Well, we can personally attest to how much talent comes out of the Solid Rock Center because so many musicians from our show come straight from the Solid Rock Center, like Summer. Welcome,
Summer,
back in the green room.
Me? Little me, hi. I'm here now. It's me, Summer.
Do you have
Thanks
any
having me
questions for
on.
Sheryl?
Oh my goodness. Well, honestly, I've just been kind of in awe listening to your story, just especially as a musician, as somebody who is working very hard to get in that field, even just hearing the stories about how Alice just kept going and, you know, just trying to make something for yourself. And I'm a big production kind of girl, so I'm very excited for the future and the stuff that I'm going to be doing very soon. I want to do big productions. I want to do stuff like that.
Good girl.
Like, I'm a sparkly girl. I like to go big. I like to have a whole show planned out. And I feel like I'm in the perfect position to start doing that now.
Do you feel like Solid Rock helped you get your start?
Yeah, I mean, I stole my guitarist from Solid Rock. I've been recording in there. They have the recording studio open, so I've been recording with very talented Austin. And he is super, super cool, but he's got this guitarist in the studio who I've never really met before. And he was just helping out with our song. And I was like, wait, this kid's really good. So now he's in my band. I've got my bassist, I've got a guitarist, a pianist, a bassist, and a drummer. And it's so exciting. He plays, we've got horns. We're having horns in the band, which is going to be like super cool.
And you're recording at the Solid Rock?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, it's just called the Rock Teen Center.
Rock Teen Center.
And any teen 12 to 20, don't care what your background is, what your faith, creed, socioeconomic status is, you are welcome to come.
And it's totally free.
Totally free.
I've had
It's
so many
amazing.
great experiences there. I love all of the people there, just getting to know everybody. Like, it's such a strong community of people and so talented. It's so much fun.
Summer, I have a question for you.
Oh.
What would you say, because a lot of people say, well, they're free programs. How good could that be? I mean,
boy.
free. Volunteer, please. Tell me about the standard of excellence there.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Just the amount of sheer talent from people who are teaching classes, the people they bring in for the art classes. I mean, I was just there and I happened to be in the art class and they were doing like forensic sculpting. Like we were sculpting ears, like how, like, I don't even know why that was a thing, but it was so much fun. Like I learned a lot and it's like, they always have people coming in. They always have new ideas. And like, you know, the kids will just ask like, hey, we have this idea to build a portrait out of a bunch of cans, which is, I know they're working on that still. They were building this peace tea can sculpture. And it's so cool just because there's so much support for that kind of thing. Like you can bring that idea to somebody and they can help you bring that to life. And there's so many classes on so many things. I mean, the photography classes have brought out some really, really stunning work. And I love seeing what people do there.
Isn't it interesting when some of the kids say, yeah, this is my painting, but it's not very good. And Alice will say, hang on, you did that painting and that didn't exist yesterday.
Exactly.
You made that. Now, go back and make it better. And it's a progression. And I love seeing improvement. Every time Alice goes in there, he calls it the glorious racket. Because initially that's what you hear. It's almost painful until you start honing your craft. And all of a sudden, like you met your guitarist, you have your bass player. We're seeing bands being formed instead of gangs.
Yes.
We're seeing lives transformed just by community. And I can't wait till it's not Arizona's best kept secret anymore.
So you'll expand. I know you are opening one in Mesa. Is it already open?
Yes, no.
I've
Can
seen
you believe
pictures.
it? During
That's
COVID.
exciting.
During COVID, when everybody is just saying, nope, nothing, can't, finances, we thought we're going to take a leap of faith. And the city of Mesa has been nothing short of miraculous, so supportive. So we have this astronomical lease. It's $1 a year.
Well,
Can you believe $1
So
a year?
steep.
We have a 19-year lease, And we are building right now. We're in the midst of construction, and we will probably open late spring of 2021, God willing.
Amazing.
How exciting!
That's amazing because right now people need, they need a new hobby, they need a new passion or a new instrument to hone in on a new skill. So hopefully some kids will enjoy that new rock center.
When
Well,
are you expanding
Chet-
to the West Valley?
I was going to say, Chet, maybe you didn't know this, but did anybody know that Mesa has the largest school district in the entire state?
I believe
did
it.
not.
I did not know that. Wow.
That's true. The largest school district. So obviously that means a lot of teenagers. So, and that's what we're all about. We're called to care for teenagers, and that's what we do.
Definitely.
Well, thank you for doing that. That you're saving the children.
It's
Keeping
making a
them
big
out of trouble.
difference.
Hopefully giving them a bright future and some alternatives to probably some pretty sketchy things that can go on. I mean, I can't imagine being a teen today. Can any of you?
I might be able to give insight, but
Well, Summer, could we hear a song? We want to hear
Yeah,
what
we'd
the
love to hear one.
Yes,
what the teen
please.
center taught you.
so happen to have a guitar right by me.
What are we going to hear?
An original song.
Wonderful.
Do I have a name for it? No.
She never names her songs.
I'm just not good at that commitment. I don't know why. Just do not like naming songs. But if I could steal your mic, Kinga.
Oh.
Unfortunately, I'm very high maintenance. I need 2 of them. All right. I wrote this one probably about a month ago, I'd say, and I'm working on it with my band, and I'm really loving it. So I'm actually gonna take these off. It is a little, just a tad.
This summer tastes like boiling lemonade, strange with a familiar taste. While my heart sat out and dried all day, and I'm born again, and I'm born again. Could it be? It really could be something from another's dreams. How did I end up inside those scenes? And I'm born again, and I'm born again. Daisies fill up the room. In the sun, I'm alive, but I'm frozen inside. I'll meet you up on the roof, and I don't think I'll be back here soon. Hope I'm not missing this one element 5. I could be the one they like, but acting as a sacrifice. Am I born again? I'll be born again. Daisies fill up the room. In the sun, I'm alive, but I'm frozen inside. I'll meet you up on the roof, and I don't think I'll be back. So I'm just gonna sit inside, and I don't wanna be bothered by. Could you hold me when it's dark? Strangers with unknown intentions, like some kind of question I'd hate to know. Would you hold me in your arms? Would you hold me in your arms? Daisies fill up the room. In the sun, I'm alive, but I'm frozen inside. I'll up on the roof, and I don't think I'll be back. Daisies fill up the room. In the sun, I'm alive, but I'm frozen inside. I need you up on the roof, and I don't think I'll be back here soon.
That tune is amazing.
Bellissima, brava.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
You are
One
formidably
of your best.
talented.
Thank
Wow.
you so much. I really appreciate
You are a rock star.
that. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, you've got that Joni Mitchell. You know who
Oh,
Joni
yeah.
Mitchell
Oh,
is?
yes, of course.
Everybody loved her, but you've got that,
The-
lusciousness.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world, honestly. Thank you. Especially with original songs, you know, like
Yeah.
that's your baby. Like there's nothing you want more than somebody to say that's so pretty. And that means the world. Thank you so
Well
much.
done. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, we're working on that song with my band right now. It sounds so cool with the piano in it and everything. I just have to beef them up. I'm so excited for what we're gonna do.
That's so great.
Well, Summer, we want to
excited for
hear
you.
we want to
Thank
hear from
you.
Sheryl why she's on the road. They're all in this tour bus, and how do you guys stay so trim and healthy on the road? Because Summer's going to be doing that soon.
Yes, you are. Get ready,
She
girl.
needs some tips.
I'm ready.
Summer needs tips on this.
I tell people that I live on a bus, I sleep in a bed that moves, and I share a toilet with 8 men. So that kind of is my life. It's interesting. And it's close living quarters, but it's fun. I mean,
yeah.
you've got to really like and respect the people with whom you work. And that band is formidably talented. It's probably the best touring band my husband has ever had. And he's had this same lineup for quite a few years.
And it works.
They rock. You know,
They
they're playing
do.
Christmas Pudding this
I'm
year.
gonna be there.
Yay!
I just found out I'm gonna be there, and I'm very excited.
Are you singing?
I sure am.
Yes!
Sure am. I'll be there.
We just went up 10 notches. Thank you so much, Summer.
I'm so excited.
We did, on tour last year, 5 continents, 17 countries, and 192 cities. But
Wow.
we're with 2 bands. It's the Alice Cooper Band and the Hollywood Vampires. And if a lot of people don't know who the Vampires are, it is kind of like a combination of other bands. So it has my husband as the lead singer, Joe Perry from Aerosmith, the actor Johnny Depp. It has Chris Wise from The Cult on bass, and our own Glenn Sobel on drums,
They're phenomenal.
Buck Johnson, keyboardist and vocalist with Aerosmith, and Tommy Henriksen, who is a writer, producer, and also in my husband's band. He is just extraordinary.
And so you'll tour with all of them?
Well, because I'm in the band, it just nobody knows it. I'm the only band member that you will hear but never see in the Vampires, because I am stage left, running the teleprompter with one hand, with a mic in the other hand, singing the high harmonies,
There you go.
That's incredible.
so that the
Wow.
guys can't get, and I have a very blendable voice, and
Your voice
it
is
works.
beautiful on harmonies, by the way. I've heard it a
yes.
couple times. I love it. I think it sounds amazing. I've seen you do it a couple different shows.
Oh, thank you.
No, it blends in perfectly, and it doesn't it's just so smooth and so beautiful, and I love it.
I think you're my new best friend.
Oh my goodness, I'm honored. I'm absolutely down.
So we have 1 minute. Where do you see the future, and what do you want to be most remembered for?
Child of God, person of worth, and lover of God, lover of the Lord. I mean, just that's that's who I am. Now let me tell you what I do. I dance. I sing. I play Mademoiselle Guillotine. I get to cut my husband's head off every single night. And I play a dead bride, and we're still in love. And touring is romantic. Sometimes there are health challenges. You have to eat, you have to move, you have to make good choices. But maybe that's another time to talk about how to stay fit on the road.
That's what we want. December, maybe?
Let's hope. Let's try.
Okay, let's try for December.
Nice.
That'd be wonderful. Thank you so much for saving the planet.
One
show at a time.
thank you for listening to In the Green Room. Join us here live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. or anytime on demand 24/7 on StarWorldWideNetworks.com.